Amore Pizza King, serving Rockville since 1972. Dine in, carry out, or drive up window. Come and see us. Thank you, Rockville, for 50 years of business.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Good morning, Ronja. I guess Cindy, I'll let Cindy introduce you, but we all know you, but whatever you want to say, Cindy.
No, I don't really need to do any introduction other than Ron just here to present similar to how you entertained joint last meeting, to just share with her Next Level Connections application.
I'll have you pass this around, Rick. I put together some fun facts of Bloomingdale Telephone Company, and then some information about the Next Level Communication grant that we applied for.
So, tell us what you're gonna do, Ron.
Well, we applied for 43. I'm not sure we're going to get all 43, but we did apply for 43. They're mostly in the Bloomingdale area. There's a couple that was in the Coloma area and one in Rockville. We're wanting to bury fiber to the home.
So those 43 will pass, at this point, the estimate is 76, correct?
That's correct.
So, out of, if you get awarded all 43, which of course, I think we both know at this point, probably gonna lose a few of those. Then 76 other locations will get better service because of the investment.
Correct.
Project cost at this point is estimated $759,000. And your company, the company is estimating kicking in 25% of that amount. We've talked, and this is as much for the audience and so on, about the concept of the idea of using some of our ARP dollars to improve the local match for Next Level Connections grants. And we've talked a lot about how to distribute that when there are 3 applicants in Parke County at this point for some measure of the number of eligible locations, between yourself, Joink, whom we heard from last month, and AT&T. We obviously, as a government body, have to be equitable in how we work through this. But we've talked a lot about awarding based upon the number of locations that you receive in the grant, plus the ones that you pass that will get better service. What's your take on that?
Well, talking to the commissioners, we felt like that was probably about as fair as it could be. I'm not sure how else you would determine to split the money.
It seems logical to us, or at least to me, since I'm the one speaking, that that's the way you would have to do it, because you're not going to get every location in Parke County because you didn't apply for them all.
Right.
AT&T is not going to get every one in the county because they didn't apply for them all. Joint theoretically applied for them all. If they were to win every one of them, then somewhat of a moot point, you might say. If we just set a total dollar amount, but the expectation of that's pretty slim. So you're good with the idea of how we have decided or have talked extensively about how to distribute this on a dollars per location type scenario?
Bloomingdale would be appreciative of whatever that was offered to them. So however you decide to disperse that, like I said, would be appreciated. We're not going to tell you how to do your job or tell you what would be the best way to do it. We just appreciate it.
At the initial conversations that the art group had using the numbers that we put together there, that would increase the local match for your project to 45%. roughly give or take 1% or 2% of that, which would make it, based upon the history of the first 2 rounds, a relatively attractive project.
Yes, it will.
To have nearly a 50% match makes that a very, when it comes to Ochre and what they're going to award, it'll become quite attractive concept. So I think that's a good thing. Bloomingdale's kicking in a pretty good chunk themselves of this. Talk a little bit about your install policy.
Our install policy, well, as I said on the bottom, we go 600 feet. And then after the 600 feet, we'll charge $1 for burying and $2 for boring. That's not making money, it's just trying to be a little helpful, a little gas money, I'll call it.
Probably barely covers your cost, doesn't it?
Oh, I don't even know that it covers the
Probably
cost.
doesn't
It
cover your
doesn't,
cost,
it's
does it?
just, no, it's just there to, you have to have a point to stop, you know, you have
Sure.
to have a point to stop. So that's what we chose. We are not trying to make everything back from the customer. We're just trying to make it good. So,
I think that sounds very reasonable.
That's absolutely reasonable.
Very reasonable.
Absolutely reasonable. 600 feet's a long ways, folks. And when you get to talking about the cost of the material, just to start with, and then you have time, whether you trench that, whether you bore that, either one takes a good bit of time to go 600 feet. And most of these 600 feet aren't nice, flat, straight, level
no,
jobs. That's more than reasonable. You're good with the idea that if you get awarded funding by location, by the applied for and passing locations, that you cannot charge over, you can't charge more than that.
oh, I
Your
understand
number's
that.
less than what we've even contemplated as the minimum, so.
And I'm not even sure, the amount we're looking at would be very helpful for us because we would be able to hire someone to actually put the drops in. So, I'm not even sure that we would charge the customer if we had that help.
At that number to get that. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, first of all, thanks for what you're doing here. We're thrilled that you're applying for these locations that can have better service and passing other ones to get them. It would be helpful to have an update to those number of locations and past locations from the challenge process, just so that our group can
Sure.
finalize our MOU and resolutions that we'll need to adopt to get to all the providers.
Okay. All right.
If we could get that by Tuesday.
Okay.
I think the commissioners plan to look at it, when's
I
your
mean, a
next
week, 2 weeks from last Monday will be when they do it.
commissioners, and then we're gonna meet the 28th, and then we'll do our part then.
Bloomingdale Telephone Company appreciates you guys.
Well, we appreciate you,
Thanks, Ron.
appreciate your family-owned business.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Very well said.
Yeah.
Customer.
Chris?
I didn't have anything.
Oh, okay, well,
I mean,
you're on
we're good.
my list.
I think I was on there in case there was a problem, but
Okay.
all the problems were fixed.
All the problems are solved?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
All the expected money's coming in, so we don't need to do any more
Yes,
loans.
it's all, actually, it is all there as of the 8th. So all the accounts are zeroed out and there's no account in the red.
Cool.
Good deal, thank you. Katie, happy belated birthday yesterday.
Thank you. Everything's going well. We finished our 4-year cyclical reassessment early, so that is done. We start the new one, of course, next year. We have started our new construction. I believe there were 290 permits that we're going out on, either revisits or new permits. So we have started that process. And we have PETA-BOA hearings on January the 5th for those that decided from, out of the 82 appeals we had, only 8 are going to PETA-BOA. We've resolved the rest of them.
That's pretty good.
It's real good, so we're happy. That's it.
Okay, Sheriff?
We ended up for the year generating $145,669 for DOC inmates. We didn't, well, I guess that's a year in for everything. We didn't house any other inmates this year from other counties just due to COVID. So, And that number's still higher, I think. Goes all the way back, I think it was 2012, so it's still a higher number than that. We have 0 cases of COVID in the jail and with employees. Back last month, I think we had 23 cases of inmates all at the same time, and then 3 staff members. So we're COVID-free as of now. We're actually 2 deputies short. The second deputy just got hired by Montgomery County, I think Monday night maybe. So we've got the process going to begin testing interviews all that for 1 position. So probably start the second process soon. And our various fees that we collect for sex offender registration, all that stuff, $14,688. And currently we have 54 inmates in jail. 45 of them are our own. I think that's everything in my report.
Okay, thank you. Julie? Nice to see you.
We've been rocking and rolling. Sorry, I've not been to very many meetings, but our run volume is almost twice as high as last year, which was massive last year. So I gave you my report. We've got 136 responses in November. 110 of those were transports. In November, we generally average around 60 to 70 transports, so that's how high we are right now still. 2021 collections so far, we're at $528,512.47. We're about $6,000 from our highest revenue year ever at the ambulance service, and $44,500 ahead of our 2020 collections. Our biggest revenue year ever was 2019, and that was kind of a evening out of where we were behind in collections from 2017 and before. So we knew that one was gonna be a little bit off. We do still have 252 outstanding accounts totaling $144,000. A lot of those accounts are actually things that were billed in October, November that it's their first round of billing, they just haven't come back yet. Some of those will be write-offs, but probably only about 20,000 of that. 18 of our accounts were sent to collections for non-payment, 2 accounts were sent to litigation to the lawyers. Justin and I are battling out who can turn over the most employees at one time, so we just finally filled our last full-time position as of November 1st, and as of December 13th, we are losing another full-time employee. So everything has been posted. We started all the process for hiring somebody new. I do have, I think, 6 applicants because it's a basic EMT position. But I also know that coming in January, I've got at least 1 medic that's gonna be leaving. She's gonna finish up her RN, potentially 2 in January, so that's gonna be hard to fill. Our run volume still is much higher than average, which is putting a lot of wear and tear on our vehicles. We're transporting a lot further than we used to. I think our transfers to Hendricks County and Union Terre Haute are up by about 6% over what we normally do, so a lot of wear and tear on the vehicles. Chassis for Medic 1, we finally got confirmation it's being built right now. We've got a delivery date of January 17th. They're gonna deliver it up north to our manufacturer that does the rebuilds for us. So once that gets there, they won't allow us to bring our truck up because we had issues with that the last time where we took the truck up so they could have it prepared and then the chassis came in like 2 months late. So they're gonna wait until they actually get hands on the chassis and then we're gonna take our truck up there. So Med 1 will be started soon. And then I've submitted a transfer request. And it's one of the top ones on here, I think. That covers our final fuel bill that'll come out of 2021 money. It's gotta be split between 2 accounts, but because of our run volume being so crazy, our fuel bill has been much higher than normal.
Not to mention the price of fuel's gone up quite a bit.
Yeah.
How's the training program going?
We started, so I officially used the last of that money. I'm getting ready to start my official closeout on that grant. We started class November 2nd, I think. We've got 8 students enrolled, going really well. Everything so far, everybody's been very happy with it. I've had a lot of other institutions that have called me to ask about how we're doing things and what we're using, and we actually have 4 other agencies that want to send employees our next class that we do, so we're already pre-enrolling students for our next class. So it's going very well.
When is this round done?
They started November 2nd and they'll end March the 10th, and they'll do their final test out on March the 12th. They'll do the practical portion. I can't schedule their online written portion for them, they do that. So they do that whenever they feel like it.
So in theory, of course, the concept here is we're building a pool of qualified applicants.
And the ones that I have so far, I've actually, 4 of them I've actually hired already as drivers for us. The state allowed us to hire first responders pending their EMT class, so they actually have already been hired and they're working as drivers right now.
Any questions? Okay,
So
Cindy?
there's a $8,000 additional appropriation, I forgot about that. That is money from the grant to pay the instructor. That money actually went into the 4909 account, it just needs to be reappropriated down to the proper line so that I can pay out of that. for
Yeah,
the
just,
instructor.
we've got to appropriate the revenue.
Yeah, yeah, so that's what that one was for.
Okay. Cindy?
Just talk about another initiative. You may have heard about us, heard me talk about this, but we're doing an early care and education, strategic planning starting tomorrow morning. It is to look at childcare basically across Parke County, and we have engaged a lot of various agencies and businesses and others very interested in this for the county, so we're excited to kick that off tomorrow morning and just wanted to share that.
Okay, thank you. You did a nice job the other night at the extension
Yeah.
meeting. Cindy was the keynote speaker. She did a nice job representing Partnership Parke County and Parke County government, I thought. It's well received. Commissioner
Trying to make it
Means?
short.
Yeah, she kept it short, which was appreciated.
Packed a lot of stuff in a short minute.
Yeah, you did.
I know, there was a lot.
It was good.
Yeah, it was good. Commissioner Meese?
Okay, I got a few things here. The doors are progressing. We've got on the courthouse, we've got the east doors done and reinstalled. They look really good. They're working on the south doors, so the south doors are almost done. It's the coat is drying now, so once it's done, we'll exchange. The way we exchange that, Don had made a modification to his own personal trailer, and then Jeff Norman and his crew come up to remove those big doors, and they put them on the trailer, and then we go up, and Don goes up, and he exchanges. The woodworker is in Delphi, so we'll go up and exchange those. We want to go leave the north doors where they are till Christmas, just because people would take some pictures during the Christmas thing, so we didn't want to have that front door boarded up if we didn't have to. It looks like that's going to work out okay. We have signed up for the opioid settlement with the state. We chose not to participate in the suit to begin with on our own because we didn't have really anything that we needed to file suit for, but then the state had a settlement as well, so we are going to be part of that. We have no idea what kind of dollars that may be, if any, but we have signed up for that settlement, and that's done. Commissioners met yesterday morning at the highway department, and we have chosen the roads for the next community crossings. You know, we got the last community crossings of $972,000, I think, so those projects will be going next summer. As soon as the weather warms up, they can do that. The next roads we chose to apply for, which the period opens January 3rd, ends I think the 28th, are 1,000 East, which goes past Rocky Fork Lake and goes from 59 to the county line. 350 north from 59 to the county line, and then 720 south from the bridge. There's a bridge there on 720 that kept getting hit by semis because they couldn't drive. They kept taking the corner out, and they tried to make that corner, and there really is no reason for that. So we're going from there to 1200. So that'll be the next community crossings application. As you already talked about, we approved a consensus to approve the use of the ARPA funds for the broadband matching expenditures. We are meeting next month. I'll be gone from that, but I will attend by Zoom. And I've already talked about arranging that. I wish everybody was as congenial and as reasonable as Bloomingdale. That's why I first talked to Bloomingdale about coming to Rockville and coming to the courthouse. Their main interest is to serve the people as opposed to Joint is just about making bucks. I think Joint's fees are crazy what they charge for hookup fees, but if that's what we gotta do to get it done, that's what we'll do to get it done. So we'll have more about that next month. We have made our year-end appointments, made some changes, but they were relatively few, just a few changes. So that is done. I attended, represent the county at Spencer Dairy and Christian Beaver, both of their announcement coming out, I guess, for the seat that Phil Boots has held in the Senate. They both went very well. I think they're both good guys. I don't know their politics yet, so we haven't made any endorsements, but we have met with them multiple times, and I think we'll be represented well by whichever one gets in that position. Cemetery Board convened with the 3 new appointees, and we had a work day up north of Belmore. There's an old cemetery up there out in the middle of Stuart Major's field. According to the official records with the county of the maps that a lady did years ago, there were only 6 graves of that size. It's called the Hawker Cemetery. But through Alice Finch's, and Alice Finch and her husband were there, and her brother was there. They've been working on a cemetery down south, and he witches graves, and I had no witching for a long time, but he actually found 27, and they were laid out in a reasonable way. So whether you believe in witching or not, according to them, there are actually 27 more graves that are unmarked in that site, and it certainly fits with the size that was left. So who knows? So I went back up the other day and put stakes in each of those spots so we can mark those. Stuart Major's been really, really kind to us and to every interest in that to let us do whatever we need to do up there. So that'll be another day. It's on Pratt Road, so it seems to me that it's on Pratt Road. The Pratt family should pay for that process, but I haven't seen it.
I have to put that on my tax bill.
Okay.
Put that on my tax bill.
Include that, whatever you have to do.
Sure, Stuart would gladly give you the tax burden for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Maybe I can just pay for the whole field, why
Well,
not?
there you go, talk to
Why
Stuart
not?
and get that worked out, that'll be all right.
Be wonderful.
And,
Well, it's awful nice of you guys to do that, considering what kind of issues.
he was a jerk.
That guy was a jerk.
He was a jerk, and always has been.
Absolute jerk.
I made it very plain to DNR and to the reporter down, and he had the same feeling about the gentleman, that we were gonna work on this, not because of him, but in spite of him. It needs to be done. I think all those people, and whether you're historic leaning or not, these are the people that settled this county, and built this county. We absolutely have what we have because of those people that were here, and they were buried in good faith that there would be remembered in their stones, and so we replace what you can.
When I was trustee, I did 2 of them, and it's important.
It is important stuff.
You know, it's really important, but that guy talked to me too, and he
Oh,
was,
he's just a jerk.
he was not very nice.
Yep.
Everything that you can do to
That,
pass that.
yeah, we will, yeah. We don't, not even consideration. We didn't contact him, we just
No,
went in
I
and did it
didn't.
anyway, so Stuart's been really, really, really good with that. I just told Justin a while ago, and I really believe this. I'll talk to Spencer or to Christian, and I could talk to Alan Morrison. I don't know if there'd be any response there or not. But I think it's a real consideration for local police departments that have paid to have their employees go through the academy, and then they have their employees hired out from under them by some other county. There should be some reimbursement plan in place that the county that's getting that deputy from the county that paid for the academy originally ought to have some repayment plan for that academy. It seems to me, why are we training, sending people to be trained only to have other people offer them more money and take them away from us? So I really think that's something we need to pursue. So I don't think there's a chance in Hades that it will ever go anyplace, but it seems reasonable. That's happened to us on multiple times. So I think something to think about. So I'll pursue that. We did change insurance. We went with Ari Sudden. As you know, I spent about a little over a year actually working on this. You guys had made the decision not to allow any more money to be spent, any increase on insurance. So of course we had to make adjustments. So we made some adjustments on how the funding would go. And I've talked with Ari Sutton. Ari Sutton was the consultant for the school insurance trust when I was on that for 25 years, I guess, president of that. It's actually a company. He's been bought out by Brown & Brown Insurance, and so They got a plan through Anthem that should put us in a better place. Fixed costs aren't that much difference, but the big savings should come in the deductions for billing. Anthem has the best deductions, and so we should see about a 5% decrease in costs of the same plans. Plus, they have some ancillary things that are appealing. I'll just give you an example of one, but there will be more coming. They have a plan now in place, RE Sutton does, which we will have access to. It's an orthopedic thing with Hendricks Hospital. Hendricks Hospital is one of the leading orthopedic places to go. Everybody thinks it's ortho-Indy, but really Hendricks County does an amazing amount of work. So what the deal is with them is, they have got a deal. I'll just use hip. We talked with Laura about this. She was at the meeting as well. For example, a hip replacement may cost $65,000, $70,000 if you go to a hospital and have it done with a company, regular insurance costs. Through their agreement that RE Sutton has with Hendricks, they can do that for $35,000 to $45,000. So we're looking at a $25,000 or $30,000 savings on that procedure. And so our intent is then to offer an employee, say $1,500 to go to have it done at Hendricks rather than someplace else. So in essence, it won't cost the employee anything to have that replacement done. He'll actually get $1,500 as an incentive to go there, but the plan, the rest of us, would save $25,000 or $30,000. So that's the kind of things that we're going to be able to offer. They have flexibility in the pharmaceutical side. I know the formularies are always different. The plan is exactly the same as we have now. No changes on that. Very little changes on the premiums. Actually go down about 1.5%. But that's just going to be a one-time thing. Going into this, you got to realize now that we are in a period of inflation at 6%. So if we're at 6%, medical inflation is going to be 10 or 12%. So you just need to plan for that. We have taken our funding, rather from midpoint, down to expected claims. The underwriters can tell you pretty close what your claims are going to be. Not who, of course, but what your claims are going to be for our demographics. So we have always funded, since we're self-insured, we've always funded halfway between expected claims and what our maximum output would be. We know exactly the maximum amount of dollars we as a county would have to pay if everybody maxed out their insurance policy. And then we have insurance beyond that called reinsurance. We've always funded at midpoint, which means we took in more premiums than we were spending out, and that's how we've been allowed then to build up a reserve of about $1.2 million or so, somewhere in that area. The difference between our midpoint that we paid and the expected claims created a savings, and that savings was always, the real costs were really always pretty close to expected claims. So if it's $130,000 saved by going to funding at the expected level, which saves us at 1.5%, because we couldn't have an increase in costs, increase in premiums to stay at the midpoint. If we stayed there, it would be either 6 or 7% increase, which we weren't allowed to have. So we moved down to fund at the expected claims. I still think that will be a wash. We probably won't add anything to that fund that we have, but I don't expect it to cost us anything to add to that fund. So we'll see how that goes. So we are now in the process of meetings with the open enrollment going through, and we should have better service. We should have a better relationship, and we should be in good shape going forward. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Okay, no public, yes. Additional appropriations.
All right, so we got 5 in front of us. First 4 of these are for the sheriff's department. Justin, do you have anything you want to say about them at all?
No, the K9 one, that's the big one. It's just trying to move money over in case we need to spend it.
Right. So you received a $10,000 donation from Nucor, right?
Yeah.
And of course that wasn't appropriated.
I think that was 15, I think actually.
Okay, all right. But it was money that wasn't, of course, budgeted in there for their expectations, so. The rest of these were kind of just cleaning up some, spent a little more on National Night Out, but brought a little bit more in,
Yeah.
things like that, right?
Yeah, the accident report fund, switching it to the vehicle maintenance just for higher fuelage.
Mhm. Julie spoke about the EMS training institution, so.
That is what is before you.
Motion to approve additional appropriations.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the additionals, all in favor?
Aye.
Transfer.
155205 for extension, we only need some office supplies, and a couple for the surveyor for travel. The ones Julie spoke about, 139181 from special event pay to ambulance vehicle maintenance for fuel. Then $282.48 from medical supplies to maintenance, same thing. I don't know what the the Bridge Festival ones in council are for.
The, Miss Jones that works, that does cover bridge thing this year, had sent in all the claims for the cover the tents and so forth. And she was short in one of the funds, so she spent more money in the supply line. So in order to cover that, I had to transfer money out of the PA system. She didn't use any of the money in the PA system, so I need to transfer that into the supply line to balance that out.
What was the total amount of the invoices from them for that, do you know?
No, I don't, right off the top.
Okay.
And her total bills were like about 28,000. The Buster line budget item, we didn't use any of that. I transferred that to cover some of the other expenses. So she turned in 28,000, and I had enough money to cover everything. We had like about 30,000 budgeted altogether for the Cover Bridge Festival.
I always thought that number was 25.
We good, you think?
Yeah, I just wanted to understand it a little bit. Litigation to perf, I assume you think you're gonna run
Yeah,
short on
because-
perf now?
Yeah, because we only got like 1,400 in perf, and by the time we do the next payroll, we're looking at maybe around 2,100 maybe for the next perf payment, the last one for the year.
And one for National Night Out, transfer in there, $78.
Right, because in order to cover the complete expense for National Night Out is short $78. So to transfer we have like 85, I believe, something like that, in the spatial event line. So we need to transfer $78 for operating supplies to cover that shortage.
Okay. Now, I see on here, you never encumbered anything for Social Security or perf into this year, right?
I don't have that in front of me.
Now, that's what it appears at this point, so that would explain why perf is short, because it shouldn't be. That's really a relatively
That's-
straightforward mathematical calculation, it's a percentage of the salary, so.
But then at the end of the year, I'm not having money to encumber.
I understand that,
next year.
but if you didn't encumber into this year, then
Did I have money last year to
I
encumber?
don't know, I didn't look. So, it's fine.
Okay, those are the transfers you have before you.
So moved.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the transfers, all in favor?
Aye.
Turn down the committee reports, redevelopment.
Redevelopment considered a revolving loan application this month for a startup business that specializes in reselling goods from big box retailers that are returns and things to that effect, and we granted a $10,000 startup loan for that. Otherwise, just dealt with some invoices and conversations about things going forward, so, about it.
Planning and zoning,
Did not meet.
courthouse security did not meet. Cameron is not here, so new business. In your packet is the council schedule for 22. We'll actually adopt that in January. That's when we're supposed to adopt it, so it's there for your information. Salary ordinance, we
Yep, time to adopt the salary ordinance, you should all have a copy of it. It's ordinance 2021-06, and we've got everything in there we decided from the budget. The notations that'll identify the different scenarios of some of the stipulations on longevity pay and the EMS stipends and who's eligible for the ARP premium pay. Any differences in how many, in salary increases for positions that are not in the norm. It identifies the normal increase of $1,000 for full-time employees. Sets the dispatchers up to the jailer's increase, or the jailer's salary, so on and so forth. So I would ask that you consider adopting the Parke County Salary Ordinance 2021-06, which is the 2022 salary ordinance.
So moved.
Second. Motion been made and seconded to adopt the salary ordinance for 2022. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, we need to pass that around to
Yeah,
sign.
let me sign it, and I got a few things that we need to do. One of the things we decided in the budget was that we supported and would fund the switch of jailers and the supervisors, dispatchers, and the supervisors from comp time to overtime. In the budget, there's a line in the sheriff's fund that is for the jailers. There is an additional appropriation written for 911 for the dispatchers that we will consider in January. But in order to get the slate clean at the end of the year, we need to pay out, at least my opinion is, we need to pay out the comp time balance for all these individuals. As of the 4th of December, per the sheriff, that liability is $21,459. I would propose that we pay that out of line, you writing this stuff down over
Yes,
there?
ma'am.
1000-15-01-1820. That's the additional compensation line Commissioner's Fund. That's where longevity pay is from. There should be enough money left in that line. It's overfunded a little bit to pay this liability out at that point. Further, that should be paid out on the January 17th check. It would be the first check of the 2022, or yes, right, 22 salary. So the January 3rd check is the last one from 21. 22, first check is on the 17th. I propose that we pay it out at that point to those individuals. It's one lump sum to get it done. That amount will have to be encumbered. Justin will have to provide a final amount as of the end of the year to the auditor's office for this. The hourly rates is calculated by statute for these individuals is as follows, and this is how they would be paid. The jailers is $15.11. The jail supervisors $15.34. The dispatchers is $13.97. And the dispatch supervisors $15.15. That's calculated based upon their work time and statute requirements of that. Those are the hourly rates that's used to calculate this, based upon the number of hours that they have. That is all on the payroll voucher that'll be sent over at that point. So at this point, that number is around $21,459. That conceivably will go up or down a little bit between now and the end of the year.
It gets us a clean slate to start.
Clean slate for those positions and those individuals.
That's for
They
the
will accrue
jailers
no
and
more,
the dispatchers, right?
and their supervisors.
And their supervisors.
I have a question on that. I was asked, I couldn't ask, because we haven't made that decision yet, how going forward to do that. Some of our options going forward that we looked at from other counties is they have a date, whether we do it quarterly or whatever date you want to go by, where you clean that slate off back to zero again and start again, that you have to use or get paid for your overtime. We had a request, a question if it was possible. Some of the staff wanted to be allowed to carry 40 hours of comp time all the time. And my impression, we've talked about this, we were gonna carry none beyond the set dates. I don't really have a preference on that. You guys have a preference on that. Do you always wanna go back to zero? What do you-
First of all, my position on that is that you can't clean the slate every so often or we just won't pay overtime. Because it's not comp time at that point, and we're still on the hook for that all the way. I think there needs to be a cap on how many hours a person can accrue.
Our intent was not to have comp time anymore, but to pay overtime all
Well-
the time. But we haven't decided that yet.
Yeah.
That was our intent.
My position is that the rest of these salary positions, I'm not in favor of granting, because I mean, you're either gonna have comp time or overtime, right? And,
That was the intent, but then I was asked about if they could be carried 40 hours. Just to benefit the employee not to have comp
Absolutely.
time.
I
You
don't-
get paid for it. You get paid
yeah,
time
to some
after.
extent, but I don't see any reason why they can't carry some balance of it.
And that's what
But we
have
just
to do.
have to keep it manageable, right?
So that's why I'm asking you, what's the manageable number? Some are 40, some are 60, some are none.
Well, my position
You
is
guys
that you
just talked
set a
about
cap
that.
of how many hours they can accumulate,
Yeah.
not necessarily a floor of how many they can carry. So, as an example here, instead of saying you can carry up to, or a maximum of 40 hours over some period of time, right? You set that at 100 or 200, I don't know what the number is.
The only complicated part about that is that's gonna vary when people reach that date, so now we start paying them individually. Most counties do it by a date and use it or paid up. at that-
Well, I
that
mean,
date.
I'm not even saying that you pay it, I mean, there has to be some management by the department heads. You've got to find time to get these people their time off that they've earned. Instead of just allowing it to accumulate.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's why I don't like comp time, especially for like.
Well, we changed these positions because these individuals report,
Right.
lack of a better way of putting it,
I understand.
stamp a time clock in and out,
Right,
and I
I
don't know if
understand.
they do a time
Yeah.
clock, but you get the point.
Yeah, we do.
But we have some with, like ambulance service that they have to be there. So
They're
can't-
there, they have to be there, there's no choice.
Yes.
These people, these positions report to a location, they're there for the 12-hour shift or
Oh, I
whatever.
didn't know if you guys as a group had a specific,
No, I've said
spot
my
in
piece, I
mind,
don't know
or,
what anybody else thinks.
so we'll just have to,
Well, you gotta put a cap on that. I mean, you can't just let it run.
well, that's it.
Well, yeah, we might as well not do this thing if we're gonna go back now and,
And
you
just get
know,
the same problem again.
don't have the
Needs to be a
same
cap on it.
problem. I mean, either we're gonna pay overtime or we're gonna have.
Well, these individuals, we have asked the commissioners to
To
make it,
switch.
codify it, to switch them to being not comp time employees, but
Right.
overtime employees. But
Right.
we haven't asked for that for everyone else. We've just asked that we keep the comp time under control.
Yep, and that's the ambiguity there, is what is under control. So
Well-
do you want them to carry 40 hours, 100 hours? What do you want them to carry? And then get paid overtime beyond that point? Not that that's gonna be the decision, but we don't even know what your feelings are on that. We'll have our own
Well,
feelings on that as well.
okay, so we're tying two pieces somewhat together in that I'm not a fan of saying that once you hit 100 hours, then you start getting paid for them. At that point, we just, well, do away with the comp time. And for us to plan for that is a very difficult concept. What I am more in favor of is once you hit that, you've got some period of time that you have to get that number down. And the department head has to work with these individuals to give them the time they
And
need.
I'm fine with that. That's one of the options we look at, either use it or lose it after a certain point, that you can't get above this number, you gotta take them. And I understand that saves the county money in that it saves dollars. So, I just didn't know if you had an opinion on how many hours was a
I don't know what the number is, 100 seems
We don't either.
logical, but I don't know.
We
Maybe
gotta-
it's
we gotta
80,
decide.
maybe it's 120,
Our biggest issue is just when we're shorthanded,
I know.
that's, and then people can't take time off, so that's how we run into that.
But the option would be if you're shorthanded, you had to work, and we get paid for it.
Yeah, I think that should make a difference.
Well, with these positions, this is a moot issue.
Mhm.
There's no comp time
But
involved,
those
anymore. They're getting
positions-
paid, they're getting paid overtime.
Right, those positions.
Right, that's why, but the commissioners, you have to make that change.
Yeah, can you, I've sent that resolution to Nick, I think, twice.
Yeah.
Please, make sure you
Really
guys
kinda
pass
need to
that
get that,
by-
not to
in
put
your
pressure
next
on him,
meeting.
but really need to get that done the next meeting, because we're gonna be into the new year, if you can at all, at least just for these positions.
Yeah.
The rest of it, you can,
The resolution that we sent over, which is it was basically our recommendation to the commissioners to do this, needs to be adopted by the commissioners.
please.
Please, yeah, please. Let's see, encumbrances, it's getting time for that. I would propose the encumbrances be due to the auditor by January 14th. last year it was the 15th, it's just that that's Friday. January 14th, the council will review them at our February 10th meeting. As usual, if you have been incurred an expense that has not been through the claim cycle, it is more than likely encumberable. Contract payments, you need to make sure you include terms and all that stuff of those things. But it's getting time to do that. Any questions? I'll help however I can. When are we going to see minutes from the budget hearings or last month or we did our monthly meetings, I think
I
up
would
there.
assume in January.
Okay.
I'm about to finish up some weeks, as soon as that's done, will be next on the list.
And our audit results are forthcoming. Have our exit meeting on the 28th.
You all be receiving an invitation, I don't know if you guys, but it's the 28th, it'll be after, we are gonna have to meet the 28th, be 9 o'clock here. And then the State Board of Accounts is, I think, sending you an invitation to come to the audit exit conference, which will be at 10:30 that same day. Location yet to be determined. So you're all invited to come to that. We don't have to announce it any longer as an official meeting. It's considered an executive session by state statute. So we don't have to advertise, or so if we have a quorum, why, it's not a problem, that's fine. As far as our meeting, otherwise we'll be meeting at 9 a.m. the 28th.
We will at least have some ARP business to deal with for broadband at bare minimum, so.
So, other than that, anything else?
Make sure I got everything I think good.
Thank you for the raises and the overtime. I know everybody appreciates that, so.
Move it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're
So,
welcome.
they've earned it. No doubt about it. They've earned it.
I know you put a lot of time into that, really, trying to figure it all out. Thank you.
Good, thank you.